Lunch hour pulsed through the city like a heartbeat. Food trucks steaming. Gulls arguing over crumbs. A street violinist stitching notes between the clatter of trays. A sudden sun after overnight rain made the square feel rinsed and new. Umbrellas folded, benches drying in strips of light. A line at the taco cart, curving like a river around the fountain. On the low wall by the planters, a little girl swung her legs over bright sneakers while her dad split a sandwich, arranging halves like puzzle pieces. Across the tiles, a woman hovered near the bins, too clean to be invisible, too hungry to pretend she wasn't. The girl noticed first. In 1 minute, a child would do what leadership books forget. If you believe that kindness and hidden strength deserve to be seen, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more powerful stories. He was the kind of leader you wouldn't recognize at a glance. No entourage, no loud watch, no habit of turning every space into an audience. On paper, he ran a company with more employees than his high school had students. In real life, he organized mornings around a 7-year-old, breakfast packed with many strawberries. Show and tell rescued at the last second from the kitchen counter. A daily walk to school that Rishi thought success meant. His calendar looked like a game of Tetris, board reviews, supplier calls, a site walk at a distribution center on the edge of town. But Tuesdays at noon lived outside that grid. He circled them in his head the way sailors circle calm water on a map. Lunch on the square? 2 sandwiches split unevenly because she liked more crust than he did, and time measured in pigeons and chalk rather than slides. Coworkers saw a CEO. The sandwich vendor saw a dad who remembered orders by heart and unwrapped napkins with careful hands. He didn't broadcast policy memos over pastrami. He listened to the violinist's cracked string, to the food truck team trading jokes in 2 languages, to the way his daughter's attention moved like sunlight across the plaza, finding what was good. She was small and sure. She categorized clouds, counted dogs by color, and preferred sharing to hoarding, in the way kids do instinctively before adults. Teach them scarcity. She kept treasures in pockets, pebbles, rubber bands, a folded drawing of a comet with a smile. Her ordinary superpower was seeing where the edges fray. A loose shoelace, a frown disguised as concentration, a person hovering at the line like an apology. He tried to learn from that way of seeing. Most days he succeeded. He had grown a company by noticing patterns no one else was paid to watch. A hiccup in delivery times that meant a driver needed a dentist appointment. A spike in returns that meant a product needed mercy instead of marketing. A quiet manager who carried a team like a beam carries a roof. But nothing focused him like his daughter saying, without performing it, that the world is better when you hand someone half a sandwich at exactly the right time. The woman at the bins wasn't rummaging. She was rehearsing, approaching the compost lids and stepping back, fingers hovering over the lip of a paper bag as if permission could be summoned with politeness. The crowd had its own choreography, students unwrapping burritos, office workers scrolling news while chewing, a cluster of teenagers pretending not to stare at their reflections in the fountain. Anyone could have seen her. Most chose the safer verb, looked past. Her jacket was the kind of found on clearance racks in late winter. The cuffs had learned to cover wrists. A hospital bracelet peeked from beneath the seam, and the printed letters blurred by time. A tote bag sagged with its own quiet. The water bottle in the side pocket was empty, and the cap chewed flat like worry. A nearby table narrated a complaint about lettuce that was mostly stems. Another debated a headline about inflation as if the word itself were the price. People threw away half a wrap, a handful of fries, a whole orange because no one wanted sticky fingers. The violinist shifted into a melody, and parents recognize the music of making the moment gentler without being told. The little girl watched the woman the way you watch a bird, deciding whether to land. She saw hesitation like a weather pattern, wind at the shoulder, weight on the heel, the exact instant a person convinces herself not to ask. She looked at her dad, and he knew that look. This is the part where grown-ups make the world a little smaller or a little bigger. He felt the tug between privacy and help. His job taught him to solve problems with systems. His child taught him not to let systems talk him out of simple answers. He unwrapped their second sandwich and paused. Remembering the hazard zones leaders talk themselves into, savior postures, public gestures that humiliate the person they claim to honor, the way attention can burn like sun. He stood, left the napkins behind, and matched his pace to the square of tiles between them. He didn't reach for the woman's elbow or announce an opinion to the air. His daughter hopped down, 2 small sneakers on tile, and walked beside him. Not a prop, not a pretext. Just a child carrying enough permission for the day. At the bins, the woman's eyes flinched. In the worn way people learn, when life has taught them to expect a lecture. Around them, the plaza kept moving, practicing its talent for being loud around what should be quiet. The girl held the world at arm's length and decided, in the way children do, not to let it rush the moment. The sandwich grew heavy in his hand. The space between impulse and action felt sacred and thin. The gift mattered. The delivery mattered more. He set the sandwich on the low wall next to the compost bin, not in her hands like a verdict, not on the ground like an insult. He placed a sealed water bottle beside it, the condensation beating into a small galaxy of perfect circles in the sun. He stepped back a pace that signaled choice rather than debt. His daughter stood inside that small circle of shade and, without script, anchored the scene with the patience adults learn to perform, and children sometimes simply are. The woman looked not at the food first, but at the distance he'd left. Safety is measured in inches before it's measured in outcomes. Her shoulders loosened a fraction. She glanced at the girl and met eyes clear of pity. The pinched line around her mouth softened into something that contained both caution and relief. She didn't lunge. She reclaimed. A gust fussed with everyone's hair. The violinist's bow caught on a string and then found the note anyway. The woman unscrewed the water cap slowly, as if it might be a trap that would reveal greed. She drank in even sips and set the bottle down with care, the way people do who haven't been allowed to own fragile things lately. More quiet followed. Not awkward, generous. He felt the impulse to talk and let it pass. Words can make oxygen scarce. His daughter tugged his sleeve once. A silent ask. Can we do more that doesn't turn this into a crowd? He nodded almost imperceptibly, the way teams learn to nod when they know who's actually leading. He walked to the taco cart and came, back not with a parade but with 2 small, things that would extend kindness without weight. A wrapped cookie in a paper sleeve, and a pair of preloaded meal cards from the cafe at the corner, no names, no expiration, both accepted at 5 shops around the square. He set them beside the sandwich, as if laying tools on a bench for someone else to choose from, a toolbox with no lock. The woman's eyes found the cards, then flicked to the cafe, as if to test whether they would work or become a second humiliation. She tucked them into the tote, with the same motion you use to put away something your future self will need. On her wrist, the hospital bracelet turned once in the light. He saw the faded barcode and a date that wasn't old enough to be past worry. His chest filed that information, where leaders file things they must act on without turning people into projects, under the tab called structure. He didn't say it aloud. In his head, he wrote the policy memo he should have written months ago. A week later, the square learned a new habit. The cafe by the corner added a small sign at the register. Kindness cards accepted here. A local grocer matched the program quietly, with soup vouchers taped beneath the counter. A dry erase board appeared, near the fountain with a short list that rotated like a menu. Free coffee for job seekers, kids' snack packs after 3 p.m., water bottles anytime. None of it demanded a story in return. Each item respects the currency that matters most to people who are tired of explaining: dignity. He wrote 2 memos that never used the word hero. One created a monthly line item in every location the company touched for prepaid meal cards, managed by local teams, no paperwork except a tally to restock. The other allowed frontline managers to comp small kindnesses without fear of audit. Rideshare when a shift ends late, a paid hour to fix a flat tire, a cup of soup slid across a counter without a quiz. He attached the memos not to a press release, but to an internal dashboard labeled room temperature, because rooms, like people, crumble when they're cold. He and his daughter kept Tuesdays. Sometimes the woman from the bins came by the cafe and the cashier would point to the small basket where 2 cards lived again. Even then, no one performed a reunion. They practiced something harder, making generosity so ordinary it requires no applause. The girl added a new treasure to her pocket, a folded index card with 3 words in her own careful letters: share. Breathe and wait. She liked the order. Her dad taped a similar card to his office monitor, where budgets try to bully compassion. It read, "Designed for this." The square didn't transform into a miracle. It did something better. It became a place where people could trip and still be caught. A violinist with a cracked string got a replacement because someone noticed the sound and traced it to the source. A manager at the taco cart trained his teenager to refill the kindness cards before the lunch rush, so no one had to ask. If this story touched your heart, don't let it stop here. Like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to our channel. Kindness wins to keep these life-changing stories alive. Drop a comment below. Tell us what part moved you the most. Your words might inspire someone else.